Thank you, Brian. So you're going to talk about commerce media, and really a lot of this applies to this room. Maybe not in the media activation, but the core of how you actually get here. Terry talked about some hype cycles before. There's a lot of hype around retail media and commerce media. I think this is one we think really has legs, has a long staying power, unlike some others like Web3. So the first reason is just the scale, right? So retail media is expected to be about $40 billion in total spend this year, going to $60 billion by 2024. Some have it at $100 billion in 25. These numbers are from March, but I have yet to see anyone actually correct these expectations for macro headwinds. Clearly, the major player here is Amazon, right? So over the last 5 or 6 years, Amazon has built a massive media ecosystem. They went from almost no media spend to now about $37 billion this year. So the large majority of retail media, and they've done so with a massive amount of scaled consumers that they're monetizing on their site, off-site, on their entertainment properties, et cetera. And as Terry alluded to, this is drawing a lot of people into this sector. So you kind of have everyone is now an ad network, and that's the digital commerce players, the mass merchandise guys, even category specific. It's expanding to sort of intermediaries. So you've got travel companies, delivery companies, consumer companies that were very anti-advertising for at one point are shifting into this, and even some of the infrastructure around financial companies and payment platforms. And it begs the question, why are all these players trying to move in? Let's see if I can click for it. There we go. Is it A, to improve the customer experience? B, leverages their existing assets around data and personalization? Is it simply that it's just way higher margins, right? 40% gross margins versus maybe they're 2 or 3% on selling goods? I think it's pretty clear here that it's all of the above across all these different aspects. The other side of this is, why do marketers care, right? Why is the ecosystem spending dollars there? Pretty clear, if people can attract dollars, they want to get into that business. We really see it as the fact that commerce media is at the center of these fundamental changes. So as Brian alluded to, there's a lot of challenges in data and identity right now. There's a lot of challenges in performance too, right? With Apple IDFA and other things going away, there's a ton of signal loss. And so marketers are desperate for performance and being able to use data identity and being able to get to growth. And commerce media is able to deliver this sort of across the board. We like to sort of look at it in this comparison to search and social. So in digital media, search and social have been the giants, right? This is what's attracted the vast majority of spend. And we see commerce media as really lining up very well against these. So the reason search and social have done so well is they had 3 core things. They had scaled consumers, they had a ton of first-party data on those consumers, and they had automated performance. And by that I mean they had a very simple on-ramp for marketers to come and spend dollars and get results out and actually shift ad spend to cost of goods sold. So what that meant is they attracted millions of advertisers, and they all were able to spend to the efficient frontier, which is particularly important in times like right now as there's concerns around recession. You find marketers want to shift more and more to proving the value of their ad spend. Commerce media has all of these things, right? Especially for the biggest player. They've got scale, first-party data, and automated performance. And importantly, especially in a world where there's signal loss, they have closed-loop attribution. And so they're actually able to see the transaction and tie it out. And you really saw this come to bear this last quarter. So in Q3, you had Meta, Google, Snap all report much lower growth or actually declining ad spend in their businesses. Meanwhile, Amazon had over 25% growth in their media business. So it's very clear how much power there is to the actual data signal that they're able to capture. So I get a lot of questions on commerce media. Are we at peak commerce media? There's really room for more platforms here? And I think it's important to remember what commerce media or retail media really is. I mean, for the most part, it's search advertising on site. So you have consumers coming to your site, and therefore you can monetize them if they're going to spend time. And so really, that's the basis of what started Amazon's, right? Before we ever got to talking about Amazon's media business, we talked about the fact that Amazon had shoppers coming to their site to start their search, to start their journey. And so, as I said, all you need is if you have a brand where people are coming to buy and spend and search on your site, there's an opportunity to monetize that. Just like any website, right? If you have consumers coming to your site, you can monetize them with media dollars. Here, it just happens to be, very bottom of the funnel. In order to do that, though, and I think what relates to this room especially is that it really requires core MarTech capabilities. So it requires very strong user experience, robust data capabilities for those platforms to understand their consumers, and personalization such that you can tie ad spend either to them directly in their search or move more up funnel into display and video. And we're starting to see this really take hold. So just this week, Standard Media Index put out this report that's showing paid search is actually shifting from more of the overall search platforms towards retail media specific places, because that's where consumers are starting to spend more and more time doing their searching. They might start at Google, shift to a platform, but then on those platforms they are spending time searching and looking for more products. And so with all that, to Brian's point, why are we talking about this at this conference? Well, it's because the MarTech portion of this is really a core function and really the foundation of commerce media. So when we put out our LUMAscape earlier this year, we made sure to highlight that CDPs, data clean rooms, analytics and attribution, these are all, and actually the personalization, which is the bottom right there, are core to making this all work. And then you've got really stages of retail media, right? So it starts at search. We are seeing it move up into on-site display and video. The next leg is really off-site audiences. And this is where you'll see, this is where you'll start to peak out, right? There are platforms that are going to stop at each of these places along the way. Not everyone's going to be able to expand and completely revamp their business around commerce media. But if they have valuable data, they are able to move up that funnel. But what that means is it's a lot more touch points and it's a lot more complexity. And so for that reason, we think in this space, one of the biggest things is that there's going to be hedge gardens, right? So if Google, Facebook, Amazon, they're all walled gardens, right? They've created a lot of the technology, they own it in-house, they control the data. Well, for most other platforms, even some of the biggest players like Walmart are leaning into leveraging partners. And as LUMA, where we're looking to do deals, an ecosystem that's built around needing a wide ecosystem of partners and lots of platforms is where there gets to be a lot of excitement. And so that's one of the things that we are very excited about here is how much people are going to have to use and leverage different technology platforms that really span across the ecosystem in order to execute on this. Thank you, and I'm going to give it over to Dick here to talk about mobile.